Most business owners don't burn out because they're lazy. They burn out because they're doing everything right and it's still not working. They're working longer hours, hiring more people, trying every new strategy, every new tool. Somehow, the business still feels stuck. It's still chaotic, still dependent on them for everything. If that sounds familiar, here's the uncomfortable truth. The problem isn't your effort, the problem is what you're scaling. Because if you're scaling without systems, hiring without structure, if your business only works when you're in the middle of it, you're not building a business, you're scaling chaos. Eventually, that chaos catches up through burnout, team breakdowns, or through the slow realization that you build something you can't step away from. In this episode, I sit down with Jennifer Staats, an operator who has worked behind the scenes of dozens of businesses, helping them fix exactly this problem. Not with motivation or theory, but with systems, structure, and operational clarity that actually allows a business to grow without falling apart. We're going to break down 3 things: why hiring more people often makes things worse, the real reasons most teams fail to perform, and how to build a business that does not rely on you to survive. So if you've ever felt stuck, or just like your business owns you instead of the other way around, this episode might completely change how you think about growth. Now let's get into it. Before we begin, quick disclaimer. Nothing in this episode should be considered investment advice. Results discussed have not been independently vetted. Any claims made by the guests have not been verified. The content is for educational purposes only. Views expressed by the guests do not reflect those of the host or this show. Welcome to another episode of the Financial Freedom Podcast. Our guest today is from Colorado, Jennifer Staats. She's going to talk to us about operator behind teams and how to keep teams from falling apart to prevent losing good people and start building something that's lasts. She has a background in business, entrepreneurship. Jennifer, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited for a conversation.
Briefly introduce yourself. You've got an extensive business background. We'll dive into the fireside.
I have been a licensed agent for 20 years. I started a company 8 years ago that runs the operations of companies nationwide, mainly focused in the real estate space. We do prop tech, real estate, teams, brokerages. Most recently, I have taken on a role as chief of staff of a company called SureSend, which is an amazing CRM that we're building.
I found interesting, as you mentioned prop tech. We're going to talk about how AI is impacting your industry. Your ideal clients, what do you help them with? What do they come seeking solutions to?
A lot of clients, when they get to me, are one of 2 things: either completely burnt out and can't do any more than they're already doing, or are trying to grow something, trying to scale a company, trying to do something with their business, and either don't know the steps to do that, or they know that's not their zone of genius. They need someone more of an operator that can pick apart the steps and put it into place. That's where I found my zone of genius over the years. I can see a problem. The problem could be a business plan. We're seeing I can pick it apart and break down the steps, make it simple and easy to scale whatever they're growing.
You've worked with dozens of brokerages and service business. It sounds like you work with the operational side. What's the single most common operational mistake owners make when they try to grow past 5 or 10 people?
Not having the right tech and not having the right systems in place. A lot of us, we've been ingrained over time that hiring more people, it's going to fix the problem. Without having the right technology, without having the right systems, adding people is not going to fix the problem. It's like putting a Band-Aid on it. It's going to create larger problems later if we don't have those systems in place.
On the subject of technology, you mentioned prop tech earlier. Define what prop tech is for the audience. Give an example of how it can help owners streamline or automate or make their businesses more efficient.
There's many tools out there in the real estate space. One of my favorite pieces of technology would be a CRM, a really amazing contact management system. All of us, no matter what you're doing, whether you're selling to the consumer, selling to businesses, you should have some sort of database and a system around selling and servicing the client. That would be one of the best things to invest in your business if you don't have, or upgrading the one that you do have.
Moving the conversation forward, you built Stats Solutions to the point where you could step into a full-time executive role while keeping it running. What does a business actually need before an owner can genuinely step back from the day to day?
That's hard. Depending on what level your business is at, you're doing a lot of different things. To be able to step back from my full-time role as a business owner, I had to look at what I was doing every day. Who did I need? What tools did I need to bring in so I can focus somewhere else? Systems was a big thing, making sure every single piece of my business was exactly how I wanted it to run. I'm not going to tell someone from now on, you're running my business. I have templates, checklists, everything they need to work out of. I have a very detailed CRM called SureSend that I work out of that I can see exactly, even if I'm not spending 10 hours in my business that day, I can see what my business development person has worked in, and I can see the calls they've made. I can give them feedback. You're going to need systems. You're going to need the right tools so you can manage that. That's what I do with a lot of our clients. They end up getting time back to do what they want to do. It might not be taking on a full-time role. It might be they want to spend more time working on themselves. They might want to take a vacation. They may want to start another company, but you need those systems and you need that technology in place so you can manage the people that you're delegating to better.
Along the same lines of owners becoming the bottleneck, most owners create their own bottlenecks without realizing it. For entrepreneurs and people listening out there, what are the first signs that's happening and what do you do about it before it gets worse?
I tend to see it noticing that you're overwhelmed. A business owner might be like, why can I not get everything off my plate? I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I feel like I can't get through my task list. You might notice frustration from your team members. They can't do their job because you're the bottleneck. Maybe you're the one that has to approve everything, the one that has to have the final say. The first thing is you need to be aware of it. Okay, I am the problem here. I'm creating the issues. Things are not getting done because I always have to have this extra thing. That's when I say, okay, how do we get out of that? It's the same when we're trying to hire additional people. We need to look at what we're doing every day and create systems and processes. There might be technology. Let's say you always have to be the last one to approve everything. Great. Maybe you don't want to get that off your plate, but are you getting things for the approval process that weren't ready? So you're spending extra time giving feedback. That's where we're going to want to give the person that's giving it to us. Maybe we need to give them better tools, feedback, training. So by the time it gets back to you, your approval process is now from 5 minutes to 2 seconds. Maybe there are AI tools or something you can do more tech where you're not spending as much time. Get out of your own way. Otherwise, your business is running you.
Your background is in the real estate and the brokerage business. As we progress the conversation, why do 87% of new agents fail? What's working inside that problem teach you about what people need to survive and succeed in commission-based businesses?
A lot of times where agents fail is they're coming into this business. They don't realize it, but the second you get a license, you're starting your own business. There's so much noise out there, videos, and conferences you can go to. They'll tell you to do things a different way, but they're not giving you the nuts and bolts. They're not giving you the system to plug into every single day to be able to do your job. And so a lot of it is if you're an agent going into a business, or if you're a team lead managing a team, you need to have a repeatable system every day that you can track. Okay, if I do this for 2 hours, am I going to see output on the other end? I always tell any agent, you have to start with a CRM and you need to set good expectations for yourself. In the beginning, it might be, okay, for 2 hours every single day, I am going to add people to my CRM. I'm going to go through past presentations and add all those people. I'm going to go on Facebook, add 20 people. You need actual items. From there, when you have a database, 100, 300 people in there, you can set expectations. Okay, every morning I'm going to come and I'm going to call X amount of people. I'm going to text. I can follow up with them. That's the basis. You build into that system. Now I have something under contract. How do I want to follow up with that contract? They close. How do I want to follow up? But a lot get the license and we're like, oh my gosh, how do I sell a house? I have no idea. There's so much noise out there. That's where most fail. They're just, okay, I'm going to go on Instagram. I want to create a dancing reel. I don't know how to track that or make money off of it. We have to start with the basics.
A follow-up question. You talk about the real reason why new hires take 3 months to get productive and how to cut that in half, what that requires.
I'm going to sound like a broken record. I'm going to go back to operations. A lot of times when we're hiring people, we're not ready. They show up on Monday, you're slowly onboarding them. You don't have training ready for them. You don't have projects or tasks ready for them. I've heard this a million times where someone hires an assistant, they come in on Monday, there's no computer, no password for them. I say, you want to set them up for a success day one. At Staats Solutions, we have a very thorough onboarding program. We have it all systematized out. They know exactly what to do. They check off all the boxes. We use videos. They get to the point where they're ready to do work quickly. In 48 hours, they're ready to start taking tasks. They don't need anything from me or my team. A lot of times, the business owner, we as their manager, are not giving them enough information and access. It can take a long time for people to get up to speed and feel like they're actively doing their role at a job.
What are the best teams companies do differently from day one in terms of culture in order to keep A players versus scare A players away and attract C players?
It sounds crazy. Onboarding. I hear so many agents get rubbed the wrong way because they're being recruited from months. They're promised all different things. Then they come in on Monday and they're given an email. They're like, okay, where are all the things? You promised me all these bright, shiny things. They instantly get a bad taste in their mouth from day one. They're on guard. Agents want to hit the ground running. If they're A players, they have business that can be done from day one. We want to create a solid onboarding program so they can come in and plug into everything immediately. That way they're not loss of business. That happens often. You bring on this A player. It takes so long for them to plug into all the tools. They're like a month without any deals happening. Any team or brokerage, you need to make sure that's really solid. I've heard of teams before where they had their entire team left because onboarding for every agent was inconsistent. This person got this thing, this person got that thing, and this person didn't get this thing they were promised. When they all came together, they were mad and they all left. That sounds so basic, but a solid onboarding platform is going to set you up for success.
Quick pause here. If this episode is making you rethink how your income is structured, that's intentional. Information doesn't create freedom. Structure does. At the end of this episode, I'm going to show you how to diagnose whether you're building leverage or just scaling complexity. Let's get back into it. On the subject of A players, I was having lunch with my colleague. She was saying all the A players leave, just the C players. People listening to this, high performers, is it better for them to work for a top-notch company, get experience with a B or C company, or is it better for them to go out on their own and start their own company?
You're going to get something from different places. When I started my career, I started in operations with various employers. I took something from every single one of them, where some would let me learn on my own. They'd let me grow. That's where I got a lot of my knowledge to start the company. I wouldn't have been able to do that without some of the very small companies believing in me and being like, yeah, just do it. Figure it out, learn it. Going into the role that I took in January, I'm working at a very large company. That's different. There's a lot of moving parts. We move fast. There's so much technology. We're investing in everything that we're building. It's different. You're going to get a piece of different things. It's going to depend on your long-term goals. Not everybody needs to start their own business. It's not for everyone. You might be better off working at a 9-to-5. There might be advantages to that. Take a little bit from every role, but understand where you're trying to go in the future.
I love that piece of advice. One of the questions we get often is it better to go start your own company versus work for another one? On the subject of VAs, I'll allude to this conversation we're having. Basically, you can never find good VA. It's high turnover. They don't know what they're doing. A lot of companies tried to hire VAs, remote staff, found the results disappointing. What's going wrong? What does a system that makes those hires work look like?
That is a really common question. We've been going through that for years. You always hear on different shows, like, yeah, I just hire a VA and they work for $4 an hour and they're extremely successful. And why would you ever pay someone $100,000? You get what you pay for. There are VAs out there that are amazing. My entire staff at Staats Solution are all virtual. All in the United States. You have to go into it different than if they're sitting right next to you. There's a different level of accountability. Your business needs to be set up a little bit different. What I like to do when we're going to hire a VA, first off, you set your expectations. There is going to be training. There's systems you're going to have to put into place depending on their level of experience. Know that this is a high turnover role. So be prepared that you're going to have to go through 5 or 6 to find the good one. Then you need to have accountability for the VA for yourself. I'm often here, okay, I hired a VA, gave them all the things, and never checked in with them again. And 6 months later, you figure out that they've been stealing money from you. They haven't been doing their job. Well, where were you as the business owner or employer? You didn't do check-ins with them. They are a human being on the other end. So check-ins, how are you doing? Is this the type of role you want? I've heard of people I promoted them to this other role because I was going to pay them more. Well, did you check to see if they wanted to do that role? Did you check to see if they wanted more hours? There's a lot of assumption that goes on, especially because there are remote. Our team at Staats Solutions, I check with every single person before we hire them. Have you ever worked remote before? If they say no, I ask additional questions because we've had people say, hey, I love working for you, but I need to be in an office. I need that social interaction. It's not going to work. So make sure that you're checking in with them. Are they okay with that role? Maybe they need more hand-holding. Then document everything. All the onboarding, all the training. I have them help me document it too. Okay, great. If you didn't know how to do this, I'm going to show you, but I want you to document the SOP. So it might not be that I'm going to ask you to leave, but it might be that we might promote you to a different role. Now we can plug someone else in and they have every step by step. We need to look at it as this is a higher turnover position. How can we make it to where it doesn't hurt our business, doesn't frustrate us, doesn't cause a ton of headache? Then we can pivot that to be successful.
How do you see artificial intelligence disrupting? What should people be aware of in terms of real estate, brokerage-based businesses, and how AI is going to kill or destroy those businesses?
It already is. If anyone's listening and you're not using AI on a day-to-day basis, you should. There's things that you can do that you're not even thinking of doing. We can save ourselves a lot of time. I have a different look on it, though. I don't necessarily think it's going to completely ruin businesses. I don't think it's replacing people. But all of us need to be able to shift with it. If you're not able to accept AI, if you're not leaning into it with your current business and the way that you work, you're going to hurt yourself. Whether you're a high-performing person at a company or business owner, the person next to you is going to outperform you because they're using AI. You need to be using some of these things in your business with your clients. Be curious with it. There's things that I've done at SureSend where rather than manually following up on different things, I have a form that streamlines into this beautiful report that emails to us every week. That took me 30 minutes to set up, now saves me time every single week. And it provides a lot of value. If I didn't think about doing that, I wouldn't have done it. Or I'm manually putting things together. There are going to be businesses that are going to go out of business because they weren't willing to look at AI as an option. They weren't curious about the different things they can do in the industry.
This podcast is all about leverage and edge. What was the one piece of leverage or edge that gave you advantage when you transitioned from each of your roles all the way up to where you are now?
It's always been my ability to see something different in people. I've always been able to spot a business owner or people that we're bringing on, what they have the ability to do. Coaching them to do that to the next level has made me able to start a company that grew without me, and it's followed me into my next roles.
How can people connect with you and learn more?
Check out SureSend CRM. You can go to suresend.ai. If you want to reach out to me personally, you can find me anywhere on the internet at Jennifer Staats. Easiest to find me is Instagram, Jennifer the Realtor. If you have questions about growing a business or what you're doing at work, I'm always happy to chat and give feedback.
Awesome. I enjoyed this conversation. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Let's zoom out. If you're a physician, founder, or high-income professional, and you feel like you're working harder every year, but not structurally freer, you're not alone. The mistake isn't effort, it's architecture. This show exists to help you convert expertise into scalable leverage, faster and with fewer expensive missteps. Here's the diagnostic I mentioned before. If your income requires your constant presence, if your capital isn't compounding outside your profession, if your highest value talent is doing low value tasks, you don't have a growth problem, you have a leverage design problem. And if you want to fix it with clarity instead of guesswork, I offer a limited number of one-on-one leverage strategy sessions each month. We audit your income model, capital deployment, authority positioning, and structural bottlenecks, and design your highest return move. If you're serious about compressing years into months, the link to apply is below.